The MoneroTopia Price Report segment is sponsored by Exolix, a privacy-focused, non-custodial instant crypto exchange. Go to exolix.com to enjoy secure and completely anonymous swaps with no KYC or sign-up. Swap between Monero and 2,000 plus assets at the most competitive rates and with no limits. Exolix.com, your fast and secure way to privacy.
Monero's a stable coin. Turn off your computers. Go touch some grass. Price report over.
Buddy, what's up, man?
Hey, how's it going?
I know I've been running my mouth a lot over here. I'm sure you have a lot of things that you'd want to say with regards to things that are going on with Cubic. I mean, you basically said it all already.
Yeah, honestly, I don't have that too much to say about it. It's just maybe just a few things, but I mean, it seems like you covered most of it.
Yeah, if there's anything you want to throw out there, otherwise, you can take it away with Price.
Yeah, I guess I would say, I know a thing or two because I've seen a thing or two. I'm an engineer, overall, and I've worked in a couple, like 2 or 3 different fields of engineering. And one of the things that you're doing that you should do with design is pursue multiple paths simultaneously, even the ones that you think might not work out, even the ones that you think have a low probability of working out. Obviously, you have to spend your resources wisely and not pursue, totally useless paths. But in general, companies and organizations that pursue multiple paths simultaneously, they often complement each other, or you often find things that you didn't expect to find while you're doing research for a potential solution. And it gives you a really solid basis for comparing multiple ideas against each other. So the people that are that are out there saying, don't do research, it's like, well, listen, if you don't think it's valuable, then I understand that. And if you don't want to pursue this path, then I totally enjoy technical criticism, but just don't fund it, right? Like, if other people want to fund it, well, hey, we're a community, right? You vote with your Monero. So if people want to fund Luke, then, obviously let him post his CCS, and if people want to fund him, then great. Maybe there's something valuable there. So the thing that he's gonna come up with will be different than what Ethereum or other coins have, right? There's a lot of information out there. There's a lot to study, and so I'm all about encouraging that study. This is not going to lead to proof of stake replacing proof of work and anytime soon, like at least not for a year and a half. There's other proposals out there. I'm pretty convinced right now that publisher parish is probably the top. It is, from an information theory perspective, it is the top solution in terms of like what is likely to actually augment proof of work in a way that can be clearly stated to be better than pure Nakamoto consensus. I know that a lot of Bitcoiners have spent a lot of time over the years trying to say that Nakamoto consensus is the best we can do, and after that, it's just trade-offs. It's only trade-offs. Like, no. If there's an informational unit, so in proof of work, the informational unit is a hash-linked block, right? And right now, we discard orphans. We don't use that bit of information in any way to aid consensus decisions. So there's a really, really high probability that unit of information, that bit of information, can be included into consensus in some way that helps this problem. So there's still study to do. I'm getting pretty close to being done with this Monero simulation. It's pretty cool. It's not a huge piece of code by any means, but it's pluggable. So you can basically write 100 lines of JavaScript and then plug in your own idea for how we could alleviate the problem. And then you can run, any number of simulations. Any number of rounds, right? So you can, and it's all randomized, and there's network latency simulated into it. And it's parallelizable. It's multi-thread. So you can, if you've got a nice thread ripper or whatever, you can run 10, 20 threads on this problem, 40 threads on this problem, and get solid data. So anyways, I should have an alpha out before the next MRL lab meeting. I guess that's it. That's the only thing I would contribute there.
Here's an extremely low IQ comment. I'm sorry. Of course, you don't see the problem. It's your event, LOL. Imagine NikeTopia promoting Reebok, Under Armour, and Adidas. Wouldn't make sense. Yeah, that's not analogous at all. I mean, we're talking about open source software that's being built among developers that are using ideas from each other. Yeah, I mean, I don't think it would really make sense to have Nike debating Reebok on the different technology. I mean, actually, that would be kind of cool, actually. But even more so with what actually, what Monero is, what Bitcoin is. These are open source technologies that are learning from each other. There's people developing different things in different sectors. Like, let me bring this up real quick because I was just like Googling to look at. I mean, this is Zcash research this a trailing finality layer for Zcash. It's basically what Luke is proposing. This design augments the existing Zcash proof of work network with a new consensus layer, which provides trailing finality. This layer enables transactions included via proof of work to become final, which assures that they cannot be reverted by the protocol. This enables safer and simpler wallets and other infrastructure and aids trust minimize cross-chain bridges. This consensus layer uses proof of stake consensus and enables ZEC holders to earn protocol rewards for contributing to the security of the Zcash network. By integrating a proof of stake layer with the current proof of work Zcash protocol, this design specifies a hybrid consensus protocol. Why would we not want to, learn from these guys? I don't know. But I mean, what's your overall take on that? Like, I continue to get flack.
I think you got it.
Right? I mean, am I missing something
I think
here?
You covered it like multiple times, actually.
Okay. Should MoneroTopia be Monero only? I mean, what's your take on that?
I mean, I don't think we're not promoting anyone. We're just asking them to come talk about technology and ideas.
Yeah. I mean, as long as we don't turn it into some kind of shill fest, right? It's like it's got to be worthy of conversation in the Monero realm.
In a pure ideological sense, I can understand why people would say don't accept sponsorships. If that's the case, then I guess you have to raise probably the ticket prices or whatever. There's a difference between like shilling something and then saying, hey, someone gave us a bunch of money to put an advertisement, and we need a way to have money to do a conference. So like there's a huge difference between spending 50% of your time promoting bunch of other projects and saying, well, this is pretty good and I like this and maybe you should buy that and I'm buying it, and like there's a difference between that and saying, hey, these guys give us money, we appreciate the money they give us so that we can promote Monero, and like to spend 5 minutes as like a side note, or 1% of your time as a side note, because someone's helping you to produce something as opposed to actually like truly. A lot of these guys, I won't name any names, but a lot of these guys, they promote a whole bunch of stuff, and they've got tens of thousands of followers, and they're not like they like. And then when they do talk about Monero, it tends to be like some kind of concern trolling. I see it everywhere. And then they have like 10,000, 20,000 followers, and then their posts get like how many likes? Like their actual engagement is super low. So you're like, okay, you bought your engagement there, and you're just shilling a bunch of other projects, and you say you like Monero, but at half the time you're concern trolling about it, and everything else you're just like unabashedly positive on it. So, anyways, Doug's not like that, so just chill out.
Yeah, guys. I mean, you don't get more Monero maxi than me in terms of how I live my life, what I do. But all that being said, I'm open to exploring these other projects, and it helps fund the project. It helps grow Monero. It all works. And like Bawdy said, I've said it enough. I don't want to keep repeating myself, but it's just annoying. Like it's called MoneroTopia. What are you missing, LOL? You're piggybacking the name. I mean, I created the name. I guess you're saying I'm piggybacking Monero. Yeah. Yes. I promote Monero more than anybody, man. I promote Monero more than I think it's fair to say. I promote Monero more than anyone, right? Like, there's other people out there that might have larger accounts than me now, but I've been doing it for a long time. Every week, week in, week out. Yeah, maybe there's people that could do better, but nobody can say I'm not here for Monero 100%. So I think I'm allowed to call my show MoneroTopia. I think I'm allowed to do that.
Thank you, Plunkapalooza, for your very highly valuable and unique input.
Yeah. What do you think, Bawdy? What do you think of the some of the drama we're seeing out there right now? Is it people that really are just like passionate about proof of work and their proof of work maxis, or is there potentially something else going on there where it's people that are just trying to disrupt progress?
It's a mix of everything. There's a lot of people that we know are real people and are extremely hardcore about anti-proof of stake, and they're just like, they say they're going to leave, right? They're like, fuck this, I'm out if you guys go proof of stake. And it's like, it's unfortunate that people have that. That's retarded. But there's also, I mean, like the dead internet theory, like there's just bots everywhere. There's fake engagement. There's people trying to get, there's real people out there trying to get fake engagement by buying their engagement. It's everything. There's Fed boys. It's Fed bots, right? It's not even Fed boys anymore. It's just Fed boys managing their Fed bot farms. And that's what we're looking at. And so they're going to try and, in some ways, like there has to be like a core team of Monero people has to say, listen, we don't give a fuck what like this noisy environment says. We're going to do what's best for Monero, and just accept that if people are going to fork off and leave, then okay, that's what they're going to do. But
right, and then the best chain will win, right? If people want to fork off and hang out on old Monero original, have fun, right?
The thing is, they won't have any devs. Like
Exactly.
There's the core team of people that are in Monero Research Lab, the core developers from Monero. They're going to come to a consensus, and whatever that consensus is going to be the thing that we should do, and more likely than not will be the thing that we will do. And if some idiots want to fork off, then they can, or if some Fed bot assisted idiots want to try and create some, but they won't have anything. That's the thing. They won't have anything because they won't have any developers. They'll just have a bland, milk toast fork of Monero that does nothing, that brings nothing unique to the table, and it'll die. It's just that simple.
I mean, look at Arctic Mine, right? He's very pro proof of work. He's perhaps a proof of work maxi to some degree. He's the one that's always talking about it, but he's open. He's open to these ideas. He's not shutting it down. You don't see Arctic saying, "I'm leaving Monero if we decide to add this finality layer." Absolutely, he's saying the opposite. He's saying, "Luke, yeah, let's fund this. Let's have Luke research it." So those are the people that you need to pay attention to. I think the people that are like, "I'm out," if it turns, they seem sus to me. Anybody that's taking that line, that seems suspicious to me. Like you're just trying to shut down conversation around discussions of these ideas. Like you don't even want it being talked about. That's suspicious to me.
One thing that actually really needs to be pointed out for people. Sorry, I'm writing this down so I can post about it later. With RandomX. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So if you really want to understand the way that technical disagreement should unfold and should happen, Ricardo Spagni, aka Fluffy Pony, was opposed to RandomX when it was being developed, like 2018, and there was a significant portion of the Monero community that was opposed to RandomX because they thought that theoretically you can't stop ASICs. The guys that understand CPUs a little bit better knew that maybe that wasn't the case, right? And so we said, okay, listen, here's what we're going to do. Develop it, test it, looks good. Here's a backup plan. And so Fluffy Pony said, okay, I understand I'm in the minority. Most of Monero wants to at least try this. My only thing is let's have a backup plan in case it goes south, for what else we will do instead. And so he conceded he conceded the technical point and said, okay, let's respect what the community wants in general. Let's try it. Maybe it'll work. And to his credit, years later, he came back and said, seems to be working. And so that's what a real, like, honest technical mind does. They say, I disagree. My only thing that I want to see is a backup plan, but let's try it. Why not? Let's give it a try. It looks like it maybe could work. And so that's
although they might be saying now, I told you so, RandomX doesn't work. But
no, they're wrong. They're fucking wrong. This is not a RandomX problem that we're saying.
I know. It's a pool problem.
Right on, yeah. Yeah, I mean, this is a problem that will happen.
Yeah.
That could happen to Bitcoin. It could happen to any coin. Like this is a proof of work problem. This is a Nakamoto. Yes. This is a pure Nakamoto consensus problem.
100%. I think it's important to make that clear. Yeah, because there are people being like, oh, rest in peace, RandomX. No. This is not a random. I I really do think once we cross this chasm, so to speak, and we have enough, more people mining it and it gets a little bigger and we have more pools, I do think we will see RandomX shine and in all its glory. And we'll have all types of devices mining Monero all over the world. I do think that will come to fruition at some point. I don't know. Maybe it's just hopium. I think that's really what maybe can save us too, right? Is some new idea. Obviously, we're talking about these these changes that can be made to thwart the selfish mining attacks, but I think just the mining environment growing is the real long-term solution here, right? It's just bringing more pools, more people mining, more people merge mining. And I think there'll be some
I can only half agree with that. Like, honestly,
yeah,
yes, we need more mining. I'm not saying that we don't, right? We need to be stronger, more resilient against attacks, but I'm not totally confident that if we had more hash power in the network, that would actually stop this problem. Selfish mining could still be a problem.
Right. Well, I guess what I'm trying to get to is I think there could be some new things that get created, right? Kind of like non-evil versions of Cubic, or new ideas that pull in more miners, get people running their CPUs because there's some like additional benefit there, right? Where everybody's like, I don't know what the idea is because it doesn't exist yet, but I'm saying I think I'm hoping there'll be some
non-evil
inventions
versions
that come out.
Non-evil versions of non-evil versions already exist. They're called Tari, and one will exist, and it's called DarkFi.
There you go. I guess what I'm saying is I think there could be something maybe eventually that comes out that creates the right incentive network where it just leads to more people mining Monero on their CPUs. Maybe they're playing some game at the. I don't know. Like, I don't want to throw out retarded ideas.
JavaScript. But we need JavaScript libraries. It needs to be as simple as going onto a website and clicking mine, and then integrating some JavaScript library to. Instead of Cloudflare, you could just say, "Hey, integrate this into my website. If people want to access my resources, here's you have to give me some hashes, right? Like that's what we like. If we really want more hash rate, that's what has to happen. That's the thing that needs to happen.
But that can't happen easily on RandomX, is my understanding though. Because of
maybe
like
I don't know.
Like previously with Monero, we had Coin Hive or something. I forget the name of the thing. That it basically was that like it had miners installed in browsers. But yeah, my understanding is it's not as easy to implement that right now. But I don't know.
Yeah, maybe JavaScript isn't low enough level language to be able to do that.
Monero Talk fan tip 3 cents. Week 2, reminding to put the XMR chat link in the video description. All right. Thank you. I will put that into our group chat.
All right. Well,
all right.
Get into the price, and because I got to get going.
Do it.
So,
thank you, buddy.
Sure. I should be sharing my screen.
Oh, there you go.
All right. And as always, keep your comments coming, guys. Even if I disagree, it's fine. I'll just tell you why I disagree. Although I might make fun of you. JavaScript is slow for mining. Mining yields good only on host machine with MSR mode. Some tweaks and BIOS. Yeah, I wouldn't expect it to be like the most efficient way to do it. But that it wouldn't be the point necessarily to make your computer the most efficient miner. It would be to get more people mining, even if it was inefficient, and a means of accomplishing some other sort of indirect goal, like a DDoS protection, right? Like right now, how many people in Monero, if you said, "Hey, go to this website and click start mining," would just go start mining to help protect the network? It would probably be quite a lot, right? Or if there was an Android app, that you could just like install this app. Now you're mining.
And the Tor proof of work has worked fantastically.
Yeah, exactly. We know it works. It's a concept that has reasonable proof behind it. So, yeah. Hopefully, maybe I know that I always forget his name, but I follow him all the time. He's working on libraries. He's working on JavaScript libraries, and I can never remember his name. He's so active too. I'm sorry, bro, that I always forget your name. Maybe if someone remembers it, just shout it out. But he's working on JavaScript, Monero JavaScript stuff. Okay. Anyways, let's go to the price. So here's Monero, right? Here's the daily chart. We are looking at effectively, kind of things are sort of calming down, big movement, and the volatility is dropping off. Let's go to the 2-hour and see if anything interesting is there. I'm not convinced that anything interesting has happened with price this week other than we're flat. I don't think that necessarily we have reached, the end of the sort of, hey, price has a problem or something, right? I don't think we're necessarily. I'm not saying we're going to go lower than this $230 area that we tagged, but I'm not convinced that we're about to shoot up towards the top side either. Where are the rest of my lines?
By the way, that 230 area, that I think 232 is the 365-day simple moving average.
Let me actually, let's take this here. Let's go to a different chart. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. I don't see any reason why we shouldn't. XMR USD. And then here's what we're going to do. We're just going to turn all of these guys off, and we can look at the pure moving average clusters, because normally I don't have those turned on. Which one did you say it was? Which moving average?
365, 1 year.
Is that the one because I know you previously, I thought you were going with the 180. So now you're.
I look at both. I have both the 180 for the 6 month and the 365 turned on my charts.
That is interesting that that the top of this cluster right here was basically where it stopped out. It's not perfect, but you might have, in combination with other clusters and other signals, you might have been able to use that. I mean, you could see pretty clearly, obviously, there's the horizontal area. Let's just drop a line there, right? It's kind of a horizontal area of significance. You would maybe say, hey, at the tippity top there. But often things come down, often you want to go to the weekly and see where the candle closes were there. So again, this is kind of why drawing lines, it's it's not always it's not always great, right? It can only take you so far. But yeah, in general, so I would expect Monero to effectively need some more time to sort of wander around here. It wouldn't surprise me that if maybe in a month or so we get some kind of solution, maybe publish or perish or some other version of a proof of work change that ought to help us significantly alleviate the problem. Maybe it won't totally fix the problem, but it'll alleviate the problem to a significant degree. Maybe that'll give us some impetus towards a price pump. At the moment, it's fine. Everything's fine as long as the price continues to sort of just stabilize here at this lower level. Then effectively what we're saying is that, hey, we had a big pump up here. Maybe there was some activity associated with that. Again, this could have been a combination of some hack that happened or maybe that was an invented story of some kind. I don't want to say invented, but maybe who knows what kind of stuff happens in the background. But it is possible that the exchanges were accumulating a little bit in this zone, so that they could then sell the price off, right, to try and cap the price while they, again, and we've talked about this before, sort of cap Monero's price action while they go on their altcoin season. And again, you can see the altcoin season and the Bitcoin dominance here just by the fact that it's come down by 10%, right? Also made a big comeback here, particularly Ethereum. So that's 12% loss on the dominance since July. So yeah, again, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe this thing could just shoot up towards the top side. It could happen, right? Hypothetically, it could happen. Maybe if Cubic goes away or something, like they say, hey, well, we're going to go do Doge now. Thanks, Monero, for all the fish or whatever. And then they go mine on Doge. I don't know. But anyways, yeah, Monero's current price action from a technical standpoint looks like some consolidation, reduction of volatility before it'll decide to do something else. Maybe give it a few weeks here, and then maybe we'll see some new price movement. With the divergences, we haven't seen too much happening, although we had a Qcoin divergence from Kraken. In fact, Qcoin has been just regularly diverged downward from Kraken. So this is the volume weighted divergences. Can we trust Qcoin volume? I don't know. Are they even turned back on for? Can we even withdraw from Qcoin? I know they shut down for a while. Yeah, so you can see again as a percentage, these guys are oscillating here between -5, and 0% relative to Kraken. Looks like for most of the past week, the past 4 days, they've been about the same, but with some dips. So they're still doing it. The fact that this happens, this shouldn't happen, guys. You should never see a 3 to 5% divergence on the price of Kraken's Monero price versus all of these guys. This should never happen. And why do they all diverge at the same time? I know we're only comparing it to Kraken, but why is it always towards the downside? Why do they always shut down withdrawals and then the price diverges towards the downside every fucking time? We've seen it for 4 or 5 years. So please, like everybody knows, everyone here already knows, what's going on there. It's obvious. It was like I said when we first were figuring all this out, right? Because we had to do a lot of research to really confirm that this actually was happening, that they truly were fractional, that they truly were trying to attack Monero's price, and it wasn't just like accidents of liquidity providers, and they try and hide behind all this, like they they arbitrage their nefarious deeds behind a language of deception. So we had to sort of look under every rock, and it's like every time we looked under a rock, it's like, well, it says the same thing as all those other rocks were saying. All right. Monero versus Bitcoin, same deal, right? We had a big fall off. Again, the power of wave magic, just beautiful that this was the the lower standard deviation cluster there was where things got stopped out. And at the moment, again, we're probably looking at consolidation here. It's difficult to think that Monero is going to just like bust up here and then bust up to the next area. I mean, maybe, right? Maybe someone hacks 3 billion Bitcoin and then, trades it all into Monero, right? Who knows, right? Markets can do whatever they want. But from a technical standpoint, you're looking at this range right here. This is our range, and that's probably going to be the case for a few months versus Bitcoin, at least, right? We're looking at months into the future, staying in this range. So hypothetically, if you like to trade Monero versus Bitcoin and you want to be a liquidity provider on ReToSwap, you can get on there and then just trade this range, right? Put your orders in at this range, and you could probably do pretty good. And put, you're adding liquidity to ReToSwap, unless you're a market taker, in which case you're taking liquidity away from ReToSwap. But you could use these standard deviation bands as a place to put your to place your orders onto that platform. Okay, so that's Monero. Let's take a look at the rest of crypto. Like we said, it's altcoin season. The past week hasn't seen too much. Let's go back 7 days and make sure, see where we came back from last Saturday, or was it Sunday? Yeah, so nothing has happened in terms of altcoin season. It's just flat, at least from the last week, from the last time we were talking. The dominance has been flat. In fact, all of crypto has been flat. Nothing like really interesting has happened. In fact, crypto has not just been flat; it has also been down for the past week. It has been going down a little bit. So, not great price action. I'm not gonna lie, guys. Like we're in a bull market again, diminishing returns, etc. It's not only diminishing returns on the years long time frame; it's diminishing returns over the bull market time frame here. We've talked about this before. Every new pump that we makes a new pump and then bleeds out, or I don't say bleeds out, but it consolidates, right? Consolidates for like many, many months. In fact, this one lasted for like a year, right? We had this in 2024. We had this big, massive pump up, and then it was literally almost a year, like 9 months of just sideways down consolidation before the next breakout. And then the next breakout point, right, was not as wasn't as strong as the one which came before it. So we're already in diminishing returns in this bull market. Probably there will be some sort of capstone, like maybe it'll like pump one more time very bigly. It'll be like a way out of trend pump, and everyone's going to say it's here, finally it's happening, and then that'll probably be the top. You'll probably even see a concerted marketing campaign out there on Twitter and other places that are going to be like, hey, this is it, we finally, it's the real bull market, and that'll be the top. So just watch that. Watch your own emotional state, watch the emotional state of social media, and once it gets exuberant, you know what to do. Smash the sell button. That's what you do. All right. So yeah, Bitcoin here is nothing like, this isn't terrible. Like it's not the worst price action, guys. Like I'm being a little bit hyperbolic when I, by, talking bearish here because, price has been bearish the past week. But, honestly, like what are we doing? We're retesting, this is the zone, right? This is the horizontal area of significance. Obviously we prefer to better price action for a bull market for sustained continuation, etc. A better bull market would have us sitting here at these blue lines and continuing up, right? And price kind of doing this, consolidating this way. And maybe that's what will happen, right? It's totally possible that this cluster right here, this is a more short-term cluster. This cluster could be a spot where things, sort of find or maybe it's this cluster, right? So it's another problem with some of these charts and having to say, oh, what's the real cluster, right? Which one of these clusters is the one that we should really use? So just know that like it's not over. Things could even fall further from here, and everything would still be fine. We're still above 100,000. So yeah, I don't know what Bitcoin's going to do this next week. This doesn't look like great price action, honestly. Like I don't know. I don't expect it to just reverse all of a sudden next week. it looks to me with this kind of the way this downside is, feels like it needs a little bit more at a minimum. It's going to need some consolidation time before it reverses towards the upside. So that's what I would expect here with Bitcoin. But you could say, hey, let me look for opportunities to get in, right? Let me look for opportunities to, I don't know, if you're the kind of person that likes to buy Bitcoin, and I guess we got a lot of you guys on the show. Not totally my bag to DCA into Bitcoin. I just, only when it looks like it's juicy relative, in terms of to the rest of the market, right? In terms of Bitcoin dominance. But if you're the kind that likes to buy Bitcoin, you could be looking for opportunities to get in here. Probably 100,000 is a nice round number to shoot for. If you get 100,000, make a big play into Bitcoin. All right, Ethereum, I guess, continues. Yeah, actually, Ethereum is that's the weekly. Yeah, Ethereum looks like it had a little bit of versus Bitcoin. Ethereum looks like it has hit some resistance, I guess. This chart isn't entirely clear. I wouldn't really regard any of these bands as all that useful for us in the moment, so we'll just set that aside. But yeah, I mean, Ethereum, doing pretty good. Shitcoins overall, everything's down a little bit. You can see the Z-scores are sort of slowly falling off. This isn't so much that everything has fallen terribly as much as that it's kind of meandering down. The Z-scores will converge towards zero if price doesn't move at all, right? If every crypto price just stayed like the exact same day after day for the next year, Z-scores would end up converging towards zero. That's just how Z-scores work, because you're asking how many standard deviations away is the price currently from the moving average. That's a mouthful, but look up Z-scores on your own time if you're interested. Let's see. Total crypto caps. I guess I said it right. Total crypto cap still looks bullish. Yeah, this chart still looks bullish to me. I guess it could have another dip here, especially the way everything seems to be going. Maybe there's another dip in store before it goes towards the top side. There's plenty of room in this chart for more consolidation, at the this is total 3. Sorry, this is total 3, which means everything except for Bitcoin and Ethereum. Anyways, total 3 still does look good. This is $1 trillion wrapped up in things that are not Bitcoin and Ethereum. This chart still has plenty of room here where it could hypothetically continue consolidation like that before breaking towards the top side. And I assume that the total chart looks very similar to this. It does, in fact. Actually, the total chart looks even more bullish. That's interesting. So total looks more bullish than Bitcoin, and total looks more bullish than total 3, right? Like, so all of crypto together looks the most bullish, whereas like both Bitcoin, like it doesn't matter if you look at Bitcoin or altcoins or Bitcoin and Ethereum or altcoins that aren't Bitcoin and are not Ethereum, like none of those things look more bullish in terms of the chart than total itself. So I guess that means just have a little bit of everything. Obviously only Monero though. Only Monero. Never buy anything other than Monero. All right. Xano, I'll show you guys the Xano chart coming up here on some purple bands. Yeah, okay. All right. I just don't see the use case for Xano, but I think they like sponsor the show or something. So I don't want to say too many bad things. They have been gaining, right? Since this whole thing with Monero started, Xano has been going up. All right. All right, guys, listen up. Please listen up. We do need to talk about Pirate Chain. Please do not, if you're listening right now, do not go contact the developers of Pirate Chain or anybody else particular in Pirate Chain unless you have some explicit something that you know. Again, explicit something that you know. Do not go message them and tell them that they're pieces of shit for rug pulling trade ogre. Okay. Now, I do raise an eyebrow at what happened here. And I think that something is going on. Somebody who I don't know, someone is behind this pump, right? This is not organic. I do not know what happened there. But that's just, I just don't believe this pump, and the timing is extremely suspicious. I am not making any accusation at any particular person that they did trade ogre or saying, hey, it was their fault or that they were associated, that they're pirate. Please do not go message the pirate guys and start talking shit about how they rug pulled on trade ogre. That is a mistake. And perhaps this is my fault for not being a little bit more explicit, in terms of what I said last week. I do think that this pump, something probably mildly let's just call it self-interested at the best, at the nicest, did happen. That does not mean I have no fucking idea who ran Trade Ogre. Supposedly they were associated to certain Mexico anarchists, right? Supposedly, but we don't know. And it could just be that they said, hey, actually, this is a good place, and maybe they were using it a lot, right? We have no idea. who's responsible. At least I have no idea who's responsible for this pirate pump and for this like weird action that happens immediately as Monero's being attacked. I don't know. That doesn't mean any of the pirate bros out there are responsible for it. There's plenty of bros that genuinely, honestly are just like, I love pirate chain. That's totally fine. Like, so please don't go attack those guys and accuse them of things and accuse them of fraud. What I'm saying is that in a generic sense, this is too coincidental for me to think is just an accident. Someone is behind this pump. And I don't think it's for like, it could just be monetary selfish reasons, but I think there's very, very possibly something else behind it. Pirate Chain, by the way, is the chain that went onto bitcointalk.org and said, hey, here's Iron Matey, here's a coin to come play with, right? Like, come play with our pirate testnet. It was a testnet. They said, we launched the testnet. Come play with our testnet. And then, like, I can't remember, it was like a week later or 2 weeks later, they had like instamined or rapid mined a shitload of coins and then converted the testnet into a mainnet. And it's like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, again, like, this is Dash tactics. And then they're like, well, the community doesn't want us to relaunch. Like, okay, whatever. Like, so yeah, I mean, they're like, just for all kinds of reasons, I don't like Pirate Chain in terms of like thinking it's a legitimately, like, it's not a legitimately good, like, candidate for digital freedom money. It looks to me like a cash grab more than anything. But again, I'm not accusing any particular person with Pirate of fraud. So please, guys, do not go message them. Jesus, that took a long time, but hopefully that's enough to impress upon people to not do that, because apparently that happened. Please, if that was you, please don't do that again. All right, Zcash kind of flat, nothing happening there. Darrow, there's like other stuff that happened with Darrow that was like the main guy was like did something bad. I don't know. All right, let's just move on. It's getting long in the tooth here. Okay, we're looking at the macro here. Let's start with gold, because gold is actually positive this week. One of the few things that actually was positive this week. So I said last week I actually wasn't convinced which direction this chart is going to go. We saw decreasing volatility. It looked kind of bullish, but it's like sitting there not breaking out, right? And now it still hasn't quite broken out, right? So let's drop a line here. But this movement towards the top side, this is actually quite good. If we see continuation here next week, this is almost certainly, right? If we see this next week, this is almost certainly going back to the purple line. So that would be a good thing. Yeah, so Roy says Pirate Chain was a pump and dump coin related to Berwick and the Dollar Vigilante guys. It could have just been that they got a big bag, right? Pirate launched and gave the Berwick guys a big bag. That happens, right? Influencers give their bags away new coins give their bags away to influencers in exchange, for promotion. And we're seeing it with one of our latest privacy coins. They're doing the same thing. They're giving bags of their stuff away, and it encourages people to promote them. And they get these price bumps. They're small market caps, so it's like, yeah, that can happen, and even with minimal amount of investment. All right, back to gold. Yeah, so gold, if we see gold break out to next week towards the top side, and especially if we see gold close above this like 3,445 level, then you can expect gold very likely has more bullish momentum in it. And I guess that makes sense. They're printing a shitload of money, and so gold, I mean, and everyone knows now. It's like, it's not even a question. Like, everybody just knows. Okay, Dixie's stable. Don't even really need to talk about this. We said, hey, Dixie's going to be stable here for the coming months, and that's what we want to see if we hope to see continued bull market action. Oil also stable. No, double clicked. Oil also stable, right? We want to see it above 61. Really, you want to see it above 70, but who knows if that's going to actually happen. But for now, oil is in a zone that's fine enough for us to continue hoping for more bullish action. Let's see, the reverse repos have made a little bump towards the upside again. We don't really care about reverse repos too much anymore. NASDAQ and S&P had they had overall about a flat week. They had a little bit of pump towards the upside. S&P seems to be and this is kind of a general rule of thumb, S&P seems to be more consistently positive, but it doesn't go up as much, right? It's not quite as positive. One thing interesting to do is to look at the NASDAQ versus the S&P. The NASDAQ is the tech stocks, and the S&P is the more like established big boy, kind of corporations that have been around for 100 years. And the NASDAQ overall goes up more than the S&P just because tech stocks, is higher risk, higher reward, and obviously they get way more of the printed cash. So you'll notice that this chart, other than the bear market, right? So this is a weekly chart. So this was the bear market of 2022, but you'll notice that the NASDAQ, right, it came back up, and you should expect this to long-term, the NASDAQ is going to outperform the S&P. Although interesting, the S&P does seem to be a little bit more consistently positive. All right. Anyways, that's for you stock bros out there in case anyone invests in stocks. Bonds are doing nothing that we care about. The yield curve continues to correct back to uninverted. We're solidly in the uninverted territory now, and it continues to correct towards the upside. I guess we're still waiting for this to signal any kind of like terrible news for us, right? Bonds are stable, right? That's all we need to know. Bonds are stable. If they ever start crashing massively, that's the moment to start getting a little bit concerned. Yeah, overall macro is stable. Bitcoin is, crypto is, it's already $4 trillion. But we got the diminishing returns going on, but the bull market's almost certainly not over. It's just gonna, again, it's gonna do this thing where it's gonna be sideways for a long time, and this bull market might actually end up being extended for a while, just depending on how long they can stave off any macro crash. And they can do that for a long time. They've really like fine-tuned their fractional reserve central banking system, the Keynesian system. They've really fine-tuned it over the years, so they might be able to actually stop any kind of crash for much longer than we actually think, right? They had their mini macro crash. Maybe that was enough to sort of like feed the demons and keep them at bay for a period of time before the mathematical realities come back to bite. So yeah, maybe we'll be here next year and no macro crash will be forthcoming or imminent, right? Like so far everything looks fine. We'll just have to see. I have to see how that plays out. But anyways, yeah, just expect that Bitcoin's probably not going to 200,000 post haste, but it's the game is still on, so don't be too worried if you saw some of your assets dip this past week. So
I just imagine a guy with like a stake in his hand feeding a little demon with horns.
Feeding him with fiat. Get that meme of J Powell on the Burr printer and the little demons, little imps surrounding him. That would actually be a pretty good cartoon. Put like Sam Altman down there and I don't know, Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk.
I like it. Somebody should do
it. We could do it in probably like 2 seconds with AI. All right, guys, I think that's all I got for you this week. Really nothing cosmic, nothing super interesting happened this week. So not really that interesting of a price report. Sorry, there's nothing crazy. I have no crazy insight, no penetrating analysis to offer this week. But yeah, things look stable. Ship is steady. Douglas. Ciao Bungman.
Ciao Bungaman.
Bueller.
Maybe he's over there tending to his daughter.
Roy says, thanks a lot, Bowdy. Super as usual. Appreciate that, bro. Oh, let's put up the I think I might have missed some of these XMR chats. Let's see. Go to StreamYard. Oh, all right. No, I'll just stay on the. Okay. All right. I guess Doug isn't around, so I'll just read these out loud. Arthur tipped 26 cents. I don't know if Shortwave knows how much that is in XMR. Oh, let me just toggle it. 0.001 XMR. Nice round number. Arthur tipped 0.001 XMR. Doug is right to keep the MoneroTopia conference open to whoever has interesting things to say about privacy tech. Anyone who understands why free speech is good will see this. The whole point of free speech is that it's better to communicate than not. 100%. Very, very well stated. That is exactly correct. Right. The only way that you can make progress in humanity is to actually be able to dialogue with people. And it's one of the reasons why we so strongly talk about, like, please, I know that we talk shit and I'm all like, it's fun, right? Like I like to do it too. But at some point, like you have to relax that a little bit and say, okay, well, let me give you a little bit of good faith and you give me a little bit of good faith and let's try and have a conversation, a real dialogue about where our differences lie. And that's an impossible thing to do with other people who are acting in bad faith, and there are plenty of them. And you just have to try and recognize that and stop engaging them. Or maybe you continue to engage them because they're popular and you think that their narratives need to be countered, right? That's a reason to do it. In which case you have to actually act even more extremely good faith because you have to not look like you're engaging those tactics. But yeah, dialogue is the only way that we progress, guys. Fiat Demise tipped 0.002 XMR. He says, on a machine that gets 16,700 hashes per second in XMR rig, I tried web miner at https miner.paleoagtech.com and only got 560 hashes per second. Big improvement needed before web mining is viable. Wow, holy shit. That is literally like 1% of no, not sorry, no, that's like 4%. Wow, that's a huge cut. Down to 4%. Man, I didn't realize it would be that bad. Okay. So maybe that's not totally viable. I mean, you could still hypothetically, right? Hypothetically, let's just say if that's the best that JavaScript could do. I'm sure that it's not. I'm sure that you can like really what you have to do is grab the C++ libraries and then like tie them in, like port them over to JavaScript in such a way that JavaScript just is like the caller, the invoker of those things, which is kind of how Python works. Everything's written in Python because it's all been optimized in C, and then Python just ends up calling the C routine, which is why everybody uses Python because all of those libraries have been done. JavaScript has less of that, but yeah, hypothetically, that could be done. It's not as simple as I make it sound.
I mean, if you were just using it as a resource management thing to keep away denial of service, you could be like, hey, submit me 1,500 hashes. That'd take 3 seconds.
Exactly. Like it would still be, except for a very advanced attacker that would like, plug into your into your website to attack your website with a C based or C++ based miner, right? That's on the back end, and then just plug into your website to overcome your DDoS. Other than that, like small case, everyone else like is going to still be contributing some amount of hashes, and in that case, the power would be in the mass. The masses doing it, right? Like a lot of people doing it at once, even if it was inefficient. And as Shortwave said, that will still act as a reasonably good DDoS because everyone else is similarly disadvantaged with the JavaScript limitation. But that is a good point, Fiat Demise. It's not a way to like truly like push our hash power maybe immediately unless we get some massive adoption on that.
Yeah, just the Tor thing has worked out beautifully. I remember, for example, not being able to access Dread hardly at all, and now it just doesn't have any issues.
Yeah, it's actually that's really cool. Like Monero developed a thing, and then maybe it's just totally not feasible. I really wish that they had integrated a Monero miner. Like imagine running a Tor entry or relay or a Tor entry guard, and the proofs of work being submitted to those entry guards are also mining Monero, and so they're getting like some kind of payout for doing so. I understand
that's cool.
I understand the notion of keeping Tor like neutral, right? So it's not like a money and it's not like scammy vibes, whatever. But I also don't trust Tor because they went all woke. So like I just have to believe, and they were originally like, don't tell me that there's no government deep state influences happening in that project. Like, please, like they try to co-opt all open source, and like Tor would be the first fucking thing that they would want to co-opt. So I can see why they would be uninterested in having integrated RandomX merge mining with Monero to do that, but it would have been cool if
was that ever discussed?
I doubt it ever was discussed for them to actually merge mine with Monero with Monero.
And this is exactly what I'm talking about in terms of like things that might be invented, come about that could, kind of white swans that improve the amount of Monero mining that we're seeing.
Yeah, I would never expect Tor to do that, honestly. Like, I just have to assume even if they're only partially compromised, I have to assume that they're sufficiently compromised that would never happen. Unless Monero is truly, like, once it gets, like, truly everybody uses it, then okay, maybe they'd be like, whoa, all right, fine, but they still probably wouldn't.
I didn't know they were compromised. Or
I mean, we're looking at, like, heuristics, peripheral indicators, right? But I just watched them do too many things that are just like, come on, guys, no.
Okay.
I can't remember what the latest one that they did, but it was bad. It was bad.
It was woke.
Yeah, this one wasn't even woke. It was like a technological. I can't remember. I wish maybe someone in the comments remembers. It was very recent, like within the last like 3 to 6 months. They did something that's like, guys, what the hell?
Well, I mean, you also just have these devs, man, and these devs all have their own personalities. I mean, we see it with Monero too, right? Like, not everybody people are complicated. You think their ideologies may be one way given what they're working on, but somehow their ideologies are different. I don't know. I've definitely experienced that, and people I've spoken to and thinking they're going to be, you know, philosophically, politically aligned in this one way, given what they're, you know, that they're working on untraceable digital cash, and to find that they're not like that actually. So I don't know. Maybe it's similar things happening with Tor.
Yeah.
I don't know.